Hello, everybody. Welcome to a Court of Books and Booze, our basement book club, where together we are going to summarize the current book that we've all been separately reading and dive into a discussion on all the questions and hypotheses that have plagued us through our journey. Each episode will be about a new book that we have completed. It may just be one book in a series or a standalone book. I know Amanda's got some already picked out. I am Skyler, also known as the Skywalker. That's right, shake your head at me. I am joined by my fantastic wife, Jessica Golden,
Hello.
and our very best friend, Amanda.
Amanda Golden, thank you.
How's it going, guys?
It's wonderful.
This is where podcasting gets a little weird. I just want you to know that because we are recording this right after recording episode 1. Because as previously stated, we did finish Crown of Midnight prior to actually setting up the whole podcast thing.
By the way, this episode's about Crown of Midnight,
Oh, yeah.
Book 2 in the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas.
Thank you for that intro, Jessica. That was very good.
You're so welcome.
So
So we've read this book.
we have read this book. It just gets a little weird because it's like I want to ask, like, hey, how was your guys' week? But it doesn't work that way now. So
My week is the same as it was in episode 1.
exactly.
So,
Mine's varied a little bit in the last little bit.
You'll catch it with Golden Image Podcast and Murd Nerds because we record, and even Tusop because we record multiple episodes at a time.
yeah.
So like the first episode that we record of the day is always like, hey, how you guys been? And the second one's like, I already know how you are, so just go away.
I was talking about how I was jamming out to Kim Possible earlier today. I didn't talk about that in episode 1.
That you did not.
Dude, yeah, man.
Can't pass that up.
The bop, man. It's so good. It's like one of those soundtracks where, as a child, you're just like, man, they just went really hard and it's so good. I feel the same thing about the Goofy movie. Same way. Because that soundtrack is just so good. Tarzan, another one.
Oh my gosh, Phil Collins goes so hard.
And he didn't have to, but he did for us.
Yeah. I appreciate the heck out of him.
I love Tarzan. So yeah, that's what I did today.
Sounds like a good time. We're constantly listening to the Tarzan soundtrack in this house. So
Yeah, we've
So
got a
good.
Disney Pandora station and that we frequent a lot.
Yeah,
So we're jamming out to that quite a lot.
no shame.
No shame at
Plus
all.
you got kids, so it's okay.
Oh yeah, the
Even if you
kids
didn't
like
have
it
kids,
too.
it'd be
Yeah,
okay.
that's for the kids. Yeah.
Wink, wink.
So yeah, I mean, like I said, we just finished recording episode 1 on Throne of Glass. So obviously you guys need to go check out that episode before you listen to this one.
I'm excited to be doing this one because we've been holding off on reading book 3, and it has been a minute.
After all of us had been like binging these
Yeah,
books,
like, we're talking a book done in maybe 5
couple
days.
days. Yeah.
It was a lot. And now we've been on a
A
pause
book
for
hiatus.
like 2 weeks now?
Has it really been that long?
Yeah, something like that.
Wow.
Just because we wanted everything to be fresh for this episode and make sure we weren't giving out any
Overlapping.
any spoilers from upcoming books. So yeah, I'm excited to do this and then finally start reading book 3 because I am excited.
Amanda's gonna go home tonight and just instantly pull out that book and start reading it.
You know what? You sleep when you're dead. All
You
right?
think we're
Exactly.
not?
It's all right. It's all right. It's on my bookshelf right now. But I'm so excited. So yeah, are we
Well-
ready to?
Fantastic.
So speaking of bookshelves, I do want to point out that we will, once I get kind of the technical difficulties figured out, we will be posting our episodes to YouTube. And I came up with this fun little idea last week that every book that me and Jess read, I want to go and buy the hard copy of and just throw it up behind the girls on the video. That way, we have the visual of everything too. So we don't have video recording right now because obviously technical difficulties kind of cause that. But Throne of Glass is officially up where the bookshelf will be.
Cue glancing at a bookshelf that you guys can't see.
Right. But so just keep in mind that YouTube will be worked out sometime within,
Episode 3 or 4.
hopefully. So
Wonderful.
I've got all the cameras set up and everything, and for some reason, Streamlabs just decided to kick one out. So
It's all good. It's all good.
Jeremy, you up? We got problems.
As of right now, I believe he is still up. He is definitely not the Streamlabs expert. That it would be the Chico noise.
Who's that?
What?
Just kidding.
Everybody knows Chico.
Uh,
He has a lovely podcast with Vanilla Thunder.
that one I have not heard.
Oh, you haven't heard Vanilla Thunder?
No,
Do you know the reference at least?
it's not
Oh,
coming to
you
me
wouldn't.
right now.
You're a Friends fan.
Yeah, you're right. I wouldn't know.
Vanilla Thunder is
How I Met Your Mother.
Marshall Erickson's
I know the
nickname.
character Marshall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't know much of the show. So yeah, you're right.
So the Emperor.
And I'm okay with that.
You're missing out.
Girl.
But no, I've never heard him be called that. So
It happens a lot in Indiana Chiefs fans, which as a Bears fan, I'm not sure you're like dying to listen to.
I haven't listened to an episode as of right now, but that could change.
They do a fantastic job of breaking down just the Chiefs as a whole.
So, again, listening to the call, guys, this is the same episode I mentioned in episode 1, but Colton was talking about, because Colton is also a Bears fan, and he said that he's been listening to Indiana Chiefs fans, and he's like, I'm not a Chiefs fan, but he said that he loves the banter back and forth, so maybe I'll give it a shot, because, he says it's a lot of good football talk, so who knows?
I always root for the Chiefs unless they're playing the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Talk about a rough start to a season. So yeah, Indiana Chiefs fans, go check them out because they are fun to listen to, and they do a fantastic job of breaking down stats and making awful predictions for the year.
I love that. I love that.
So this week, guys, we are covering Crown of Midnight, which is book 2 in the Throne of Glass series. I'm super, super excited to talk about this book. I wish you guys could see the dumb smile on my face, but yeah.
It's there.
It's there. Just a reminder, we will give you guys a quick synopsis of the book, and then we will open up our discussion for theories, hypotheses.
Thoughts, grievances, etc.
Exactly. And then we will rate the book. So I think Jess has our synopsis for this week yet again, and we will not burden her with this every week.
It's all good.
Maybe we will.
It was a slow week at work.
Gosh, it was. Okay, so while Throne of Glass, Book 1, followed a pretty straightforward plot, there is nothing straightforward about Crown of Midnight, and you can never be sure really what's going on. The complexity of this plot is really why it was just super hard not to get just sucked right into the story. So, Selena survived a year as a slave in the prison camp in Dovier, battled criminals and monsters in the last book, and finally won the title of King's Champion. Now she will be working as the royal assassin to Adarlan's evil king, questionable king, for 4 years to win her freedom. It's been 2 months since the final competition, and Selena has been busy with her new role as the king's assassin. But her secret is that instead of actually killing the king's enemies, she has been faking their deaths and helping these men and women sneak out of Aderlin. Selena is given the name of a suspected rebel leader that is her next hit. His name is Archer Finn, and as her next target, she's got 1 month to complete that task of taking care of him. His rebel movement is trying to track down the lost princess, Aelin Galathinius. We're going to go with that. The the heir of Terrasen and the only hope to restore the honorable kingdom to its former glory. Around the castle, mysterious things are going on. At this point, Selena finds out about an evil creature living in the castle library, and a riddle in Elena's tomb is teaching her about the fact that there are word keys to open word gates, which basically, if you have all of those, you can open up, all the existing realms, and that would kind of mean definite doom. And then Dorian is finding out that he for sure has magic. So that's fun. Nehemia reveals that she knows more than she has let on so far about Elena and everything word related. She agrees to teach Selena how to read word marks, and Selena hears and sees some sketchy stuff in the library. She's also learning some new things from Mort, which is the magic door knocker in the tomb of Elena and Gavin.
Garrett.
And she's learning some things about the tomb itself. Selena's relationship with Kaol has continued to grow, and she ends up surprising him with a romantic birthday dinner, which afterward they end up sleeping together, and
Ayo.
they get to be relatively happy together for a very short time.
For like 2 minutes.
For like 2 minutes. It's so short. It's fantastic and so short. So then right after that is when Kaol ends up getting kidnapped, and his captors send a ransom note to Selena. She takes off, ends up freeing him, and then has to rush back to the castle to try and save Nehemia, because during which she is freeing Kaol, she finds out that Nehemia is in danger. So she rushes back to the castle and ends up finding that Nehemia is brutally murdered in her bedroom. Big plot point there. So Selena ends up blaming Kaol for her death, since he knew that there was a threat on her life and didn't do enough to stop it. So that's where their happy time ends up stopping. She ends up attacking Kaol, almost killing him, but hey, Dorian ends up saving Kaol because he uses some magic that he has now. So freezes her attack and thus stops her from killing him. Selena then has a goal to find out who killed Nehemia. She thinks it might be Grave, who was one of the champion prospects in the competition, just by the way that she was killed so brutally, and that was kind of his style of doing things. So she ends up killing him, and ultimately then finds out that that is not who the murderer was. Selena then meets a witch who is working at a carnival that has come to the castle grounds. She goes to the woman to get some help deciphering a riddle that was tied to some word marks, and she's been working on it. The witch says that the riddle describes 3 word keys necessary to open the word gate. She says that the person who finds these keys and opens the gate will wield incredible power enough to control the world and other worlds. The witch then attacks her, and Selena has to, defend herself and ends up killing her. Selena finally figures out the full riddle, and it leads to where one of the word keys was hidden, but unfortunately that key was already gone. And Mort, that door knocker, confirms her fear that the current king is the one who discovered it a while ago. Selena suspects that the king has had the second key also, and knows that she must find the third one before he does. She thinks Nehemia was researching this before her death and might know the location of that final key. So, Selena then decides to open a portal to try and reach Nehemia to speak with her using word marks and magic and all of that she'd been learning from Nehemia before she died. Selena then reaches Nehemia, and she tells Selena that her death was necessary to get things started in motion. Don't be worried about it. This is kind of how the plan was supposed to go. Archer then arrives right as Nehemia disappears, and he explains that he and Nehemia were working together since she arrived in Aderlin, but Nehemia left his rebel group a week before her death because she did not agree with the tactics he wanted to use to bring down the king. So he killed her. So that's who killed her. It wasn't Grave. It was Archer and his crazy plans. So he set it up to make sure that Selena turned against Kaol in the process. And during this time, Selena acts like she's going to go along with his plans just to get information she needs, and then she attacks him. At this time, that portal's still kind of open. Some weird things happen with it while they're scuffling, and a creature comes through while they're fighting. And right about that time, Kaol and Dorian show up. They were alerted by a dream that Dorian had, so something magical going along there too, that he had a dream of what was going on at the time. So Selena's dog ends up chasing the creature back into the portal. Kaol goes in to save the dog because Selena's freaking out about her dog. And then Selena follows to save them both. As soon as they get into the portal, we see Selena in her true Fae form in this land because it's one where magic still exists. So they manage to do what they gotta do to get back into their world, where her then Fae form vanishes. They close the portal, and Selena kills Archer right after that. The book ends with Kaol feeling like the safest place for Selena is away from the king in Aderlin. So he goes to his father and says, can you counsel with the king and get him to agree to send Selena off to, is it Wendlin?
Wendlin, yes.
Yeah, Wendlin. So that's where she's gonna go, and the agreement to get his father to propose this to the king or support him in his recommendation is that Kaol is going to give up his captain of the guard title and return to his home kingdom like his father wants him to. So the last little bit is on the docks as her ship is departing to Wendlin. Selena tells Kaol the full truth about everything, about all the word keys and the creature and the stuff beneath the library, and about how the king is got some bigger plan than what's going on. She tells him a little riddle about her last and, final truth before she leaves. And she sails away, and he goes and figures out the riddle, which was that Selena is the lost princess of Terrasin, Aelin Galathinius.
What?
What? Who would have guessed?
We did. We guessed
Crazy,
that.
yeah. So there is the synopsis of the book.
Very, very good job.
Thoughts on all of that craziness?
Yes, may I make one correction to your synopsis real quick?
Yeah, please do.
Grave did kill Nehemiah.
He was just hired by Archer.
Right.
Ah, okay.
Not the other guy from the
Yeah.
court like they thought.
Yeah. Okay, you're right. Totally.
So I mean, let's start at the beginning. This book starts out brutal. She's standing over her target, and she's like, "Oh, I just raised my sword." And then the beginning of the next chapter is her walking back into the king's court, and she essentially throws the head of the guy on the floor, and the king looks at her and goes, "Why is he so beat up?" She said, "Well, he fought me while I was trying to kill him, and
Yeah.
this is just how it ended up."
Yeah.
And she gives him the family ring and so on and so forth.
Still on a hand.
Yes,
the way.
it was still on the hand. I did forget that. So I mean, this book compared to,
Yeah, we just bumped it like 10 notches. Like,
Yeah.
hardcore. Yeah. When I remember reading the beginning, and I was like, okay, this is the assassin that I was expecting from the get-go.
Yes.
Like, merciless kills, doing her job, whatever she's got to do to get her freedom. That was like how I expected her to be from the beginning. Just, cold, coming in, here you go. What do you want now? Okay, awesome. I'm going. We do find out soon after this scene that is not exactly what she's doing. It's a little bit. No, it's not at all what
it's
she's
still
doing.
absolutely brutal.
Right.
there's a lot more that's going into it.
There's a lot more layers in this. I thought I had a lot of questions in the first book. Some of them were answered in book 2, but I left with a million more.
Yes.
So
So instead of killing them, as Jess said in the synopsis, she's helping these people escape Adarlan. Sorry. And she's going to essentially the
like the sick houses.
the sick houses and finding people who are already dead and
Using their corpses.
taking those remains to the king. So she has proof.
So she's doing this because she sees that these people that are on the king's hit list are essentially, in her eyes, the good people.
Yeah, they're the people who are supporting the citizens or trying to help the people in the salt mine slave camps and stuff like that.
Yeah, haven't done nothing wrong.
Except disagree with the king. Do we ever get his name, by the way, or is he just
No.
the king?
He is
king.
just
Okay.
the king.
I couldn't remember.
No.
That's how much power he has. He doesn't have to give you a name.
You've got his last name. It's Haviliard, but you
Right.
don't have the first name.
You have to earn that.
Yeah.
No first name basis.
We don't have that privilege yet.
Well, it's the same with Duke Parrington, though, right? I mean, is his first name Duke, or is it just his title? Maybe it's both.
I'm going to go with that's not his first name.
There's
Garrett.
Garrett.
I will never live it down.
there is a lot that happens in just like the first few chapters of this book.
It's a lot to unpack, honestly.
Right.
Yes. Well, and it's split into, is it 2 sections or 3?
2 parts.
2 parts?
Yeah. So the first part is a majority of the book.
Okay.
The second part, hang on, I can tell you right here. So I don't think part 2 starts till chapter 40.
Okay. Okay.
So it's pretty far along before part 2 hits.
Okay. And it's just a little bit different feel from part 1 to part 2.
100%.
So
100%.
Yeah, well, I think we talked about it in episode 0, my oh shit moment, but we'll get into that here shortly.
yeah.
That is this book, guys. This book was the oh shit moment.
So, as soon as she gets back from this mission, the king then gives her next target, which is Archer. I can't remember his last name.
Me either. but
And-
it's someone she knows.
Right.
Is it Flynn?
This isn't Rapunzel.
Why is that exactly what I thought?
Oh
Flynn Rider.
Gosh.
Eugene.
Whatever. I'm gonna quit recommending names. Whatever.
It does sound right though.
Yeah.
But I don't
Yeah.
think it is.
Archer Flynn. Just go with it.
You can continue now.
So
Now that you've made fun of me, you can continue.
this opens up Selena's backstory
Yeah, a lot.
a lot. So we get in the first book we meet we don't meet when Dorian walks in on Selena playing.
She's right.
It's Archer Finn. I was close.
Oh, Finn. You had that face like, actually, guys.
Actually, so Dorian walks in on Selena playing the piano. And we get this small glimpse into her backstory because he asked her, he's like, well, have you ever loved anybody before? And she's like, yeah, his name was Sam. So we get the full backstory with her and Sam and what kind of led into it.
And can I just say, Selena, Dorian, Kale, and Sam.
Sam.
And Sam. The most basic name
And
out of all of these intricate, how do you pronounce this name? And then you have Sam.
He probably had like a crazy last name, though. Maybe that made up for it.
Galathinius, something like that. Yeah, but I just
Hopefully
I
not.
laughed so hard when I was like, "Oh, Sam." Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember him.
Yeah.
It was so
May
funny.
he rest in peace.
I know.
well, I'm sure Samwise Gamgee is probably, copyrighted, so she couldn't use that.
Okay, Lord of the Rings fan.
Ooh, maybe we should read that.
There we go.
Ooh, yeah, let's not.
We've got him.
Anyway.
Anyway.
So, I mean, we get this really fleshed out backstory finally from the time she was picked up by Arabin to kind of what happens with Sam. And man, you talk about something that just kind of tears on the heartstrings, right?
Yeah. It's kind of what she does, doesn't it? Especially now that she's actually bringing forth all these heads and stuff, you're just like, oh shit. All right. Okay, calm down. And so they got to make you feel a little bit more, I feel like, just to even out the balance.
Well, I think that kind of your reaction to the beginning of the book was the same reaction that Dorian and Kay all had towards her at the beginning of the book.
Like,
they were
eyes
just kind
wide,
of like,
who the hell is this?
oh, this is the assassin.
Yeah.
Oh, how grotesque. Like,
yeah.
like,
Yeah, for
oh,
sure.
She doesn't look like, quote unquote, our Selena, so I think that's a pretty universal response to her at the very beginning of the book.
I honestly feel like as of right now, what we know about Selena, it's like she has 3 separate lifetimes. So it was her before she was 8 years old and shit hit the fan and whatever, but we don't know anything that happened.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
not true because towards the end of the book, don't we
I'm
get...
in the beginning of the book,
Okay.
Sky.
I know. I got to get this through my head. I got to stop jumping around. But
But as of the beginning of the book, you don't know anything really about what happened before she was 8.
Yeah.
And then you have from 8 to 17
Yeah.
when she was under the King of the Assassins, training to be an assassin and became Aderlin's assassin. And-
arguably the most
Yeah.
famous assassin.
Right.
Yeah.
Who grew that title.
Yep.
And then you have from 17 when she was caught to her life in Endovir to becoming King's Champion.
Yeah.
And now this life. It's honestly, it feels like 3 separate lifetimes.
No, I'm sure. Yeah.
And especially how drastic I'm sure that they were. I don't know. It's just so interesting
Yeah,
to me.
I
So
agree.
interesting.
I agree there.
So we find out that Arobin, who is the king of the assassins, betrayed Sam and Selena, and said, I can't remember the guy's name. He doesn't play a huge part in the book.
It was Selena's target that she
Right.
at the time.
And so he is the reason that Sam is dead and she was sent to the salt mines. Now, this all plays heavily into kind of Archer's story and why he knows her, and when they first meet he apologizes about Sam and all that stuff. So
Because Archer was in the Assassin's Guild as well.
yeah,
What is their group called? Like when she was going and training. They tell us.
they
I don't
tell us
remember.
that she went and trained with like the Red Sands or the Red Suns in the desert at one point, but I don't know that they ever give Araban, however you say his name.
Arabin.
Yeah.
Arabin.
I thought
his-
that the like their group as a whole was. They had given us a name for
Don't
it.
ask me. I'm not going to guess names anymore.
I can't remember. I can't recall though. But they
It's gonna
call
be
him
like
like King
Garrett
of the
situation.
Assassins and whatever,
Yeah.
and but I thought they gave it. I could be wrong, but Archer did train with her
Yes, that
to
is-
be an
that is
assassin
how they
at the
know each
same
other.
time, which is how they knew each other.
The thing is he's not an assassin. He is a courier.
Right.
Yeah.
And the way they write it, it seems like he takes a lot of male clients.
He just takes a lot of clients.
Well, a lot of clients, that's fair. But the way it was written, it just seemed like he was...
Predominantly taking male clients.
Right.
Yeah. Apparently he's really good at his job. That's what they insinuated.
So, I mean, what are your guys' thoughts about the beginning of the book? I mean, it goes into it fast, and we get a lot of information within those first, what'd you say, 40 chapters? I mean, there's just a lot that goes on.
There's a lot to go through.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't call 40 chapters the beginning of the book when there's
Part
55
one.
Part
chapters.
Part one,
Right.
yeah.
There were more than 50... Were there only 55 chapters in this book?
I believe so. Somewhere right around that.
Interesting.
No idea.
That's
I'm-
alright, I could have sworn this was broken into 3 parts, too.
I'm sure it was nice for you because you were saying at book one you thought it was really boring because you wanted more action, and this started right with action.
Oh, it
Yeah.
started right off, yeah.
So, what did you guys think of Archer, like at initial meeting?
He was charming and he knew it. Kind of a douche.
This is an explicit podcast, Amanda. You
I
don't-
know. I feel bad though.
I know, it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Honestly, I liked his character at the beginning of this whole thing because it was like he came in, even Selena, he just kind of swept her off her feet, and that's not something we'd seen from her at this point, where she was like sweaty,
was
and-
flustered.
right?
Yeah, I think she just went right back to. It was like no time had passed. Like he was familiar to her, and I think that as soon as she saw him, like she had had a little crush on him beforehand, and I think she went right back to that giddy, crush. Oh, he's so cute and charming and interesting, and here he is giving me attention. So I think that she went right back to those feelings, and it was just easy.
I think she mentioned at one point that he was like one of the most handsome men she had ever met, and that he still was that way.
Yeah, yeah.
I gotta say, I was super suspicious. I was like, this guy can't be this nice. Like, what?
Well, I mean,
We have walls. We put up those walls. Like, I don't know about you. I don't know about you.
we wanted to believe in that he wasn't a horrible human being, and he actually cared about the cause. But even when they first introduced him, and she's like, "Hey, I need this information," he's like, "Oh, I'm not involved," and there wasn't a reason to not really believe him because of the way it was all kind of set up, right? You're like, yeah, I don't know that he's actually involved with this whole rebel get up thing. I wonder if the king's just, trying to get rid of him for one reason or another.
Well, and when they were in the carriage and she essentially says, either you gotta get out, like, you're next on the hit list, so, like, you gotta get out, or whatever, it's like, Maas wrote him really well right there in pretending to be terrified or actually still being terrified, where he, like, jumped across the coach and was, like, trying to defend himself. So, that's kind of... My initial thought was like, are you quite what you seem? But then in that scene, I'm like, well, maybe he is actually scared. So it was a lot of back and forth in my thought on him. I mean...
Yeah, I think honestly, I thought the fear was genuine just because
Yeah.
it was her telling him, hey, you've got this amount of time, otherwise I'm going to have to kill you.
Yeah.
And knowing who she is and the reputation that she has, like, regardless of the fact that she spent a year in Indovier, I think that he's like, okay, oh shit, I'm not messing around with you. So even if you're joking, we're not playing. So
Yeah. Yeah, so for him to just end up being behind a lot of the grand scheme of things, I was like, oh.
I gotta say, you know how
Oh, damn.
stressed out I would be if someone came to me and said, hey, you have a month to get everything together and you need to go. You know how quick I would be out of there? I wouldn't take the whole damn month.
No.
No. And he's like, he milked it.
He had to get all his monetary affairs around.
Well, to be fair, they do cover this really, really well, that he was trained by, I'm going to call her the queen of courtiers because they give us her name, but it's very brief.
Yeah.
And he owes her
Hella money.
a lot
So
of
much
money.
Mm.
And like any good pyramid scheme, he just keeps falling more and more in debt because of the way she does things. So,
But I mean, he's gonna fake his death, right? That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
That's the option.
Yeah.
Fake your death and go. So,
well, I mean, and she was offering him the same thing she offered everybody else.
I don't know.
help you
I just
get
know that
out,
I
but-
would have been out of there so much quicker. Like, dude, she's not messing around.
Yeah.
But what do I know? I've never been
Do you
threatened.
have a hit out on you?
I've never been threatened in that way, so... And I appreciate that very much.
So yeah, I mean, I thought Archer was okay. I mean, obviously he had his secrets and knew more than he was letting on, but by the time he dies, I freaking hated him. So
Yeah. Definitely.
This book taught me not to trust people.
That's what taught you not to trust people?
Yeah. Well, probably book 1. If not anything before this. But, yeah, I don't know. I was super suspicious, and then I started to like him a little bit more because I thought he was actually an okay person and was being secretive for the right reasons. And
Yeah.
then he turned
All
around
went
and he stabbed
downhill.
me in the back. I was really mad, but we can get into that when we get to part 2.
he really came off in the beginning of this book as like that Knox replacement from the first book.
And I essentially thought they were going to just rekindle that friendship and everything was
Right.
going to be good.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like, oh, maybe it's not so bad. But anyway,
Yeah,
what
it
else
was
happened?
it was crazy. So we get into kind of the slower section of this book where she's heard rumors about a hidden library, so she goes and she actually finds it. And of course, in true Adderlin fashion, it's hidden behind a tapestry.
I would be looking behind every single tapestry that I would see. Like, I swear there's got to be
Right?
a door back there. I mean, she's 2 for 2 right now, so
So she follows the staircase down into the ancient libraries, essentially, and we get the first glimpse of the rat in the basement.
Yeah, well, and this is after she's already seeing, like, weird things going on with the library, because she was going on, like, what, a midnight stroll at one point?
Right.
saw a weird hooded figure in the entrance to the library and was like, nope, this doesn't seem like a good idea, and went back to her room.
Which was super smart.
Yeah,
Except for
real.
the fact that she just walked.
Yeah, yeah.
My ass would be running.
I like this whole section where they explain she's walking down the library and she's like, it just smells like old books, and I thought this entire section was extremely well written.
I gotta say, I thought the lighting component of the stairway was the coolest thing. Where it had that little ridge
Yeah.
that you pour oil in and you just light the oil and it lights the whole stairway.
She national treasured it.
That's exactly what I thought. Oh my gosh, how many times am I going to say that in this episode today? That's immediately what I turn to is like
I
the
was
oil, the fire.
yes.
Oh, look at all the treasure.
It's
All
like,
the
I love
gold.
it.
Oh my goodness. Man, I've talked about that movie a lot today. Boy. Yeah, the detail was just very well written. Like, you could just picture exactly what she was wanting you to portray. So,
Well, I gotta say, honestly, I had a little bit of trouble with that in specifically the library portion. Like, when we were, like, in a particular place in those tunnels, I got the feel of where we were at, but, like, the spatial awareness of actually entering behind the tapestry to where everything was located underneath there didn't follow that one bit for the most part. It
Fair
was so
enough.
much easier behind her tapestry to like follow and figure out exactly like where things were running, but like there were so many different doors.
I'm
There were a
I'm gonna be totally honest with you. The whole scene before her finding that tapestry was confusing as hell. Because she's like, I just started following the walls of the library. I was like, how big is this freaking library?
It's a library. It's a huge library.
it's a glass castle, Skyler.
It's a castle library. It's a royal library.
Seen Beauty and the Beast?
Big ass library.
You seen Beauty and the Beast?
I've seen Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, when she comes in. That's a huge library, and that's animated.
It's not your local town library. It's a big library.
Yeah,
Like,
but I
bigger
mean,
than the construction that they're doing down there right now.
Like bigger than homes.
she's like talking about following these walls, and then she's like, and eventually they just stop lighting the sconces on the walls, so it's dark, and I'm like, who even lights these things every day?
See, in my head, I immediately think Harry Potter. Like, that's the restricted section.
Yes. Yes.
We don't go there. But yeah, it's gotta
Unless
be.
you've got an invisibility cloak or a tapestry.
She's got it.
Yeah.
That's exactly what this book was missing.
That could have like helped in so many situations.
That's gotta be like straight up copyright, like invisibility cloak. Like, come on.
Totally.
As
But yeah.
long as they don't call it a Deathly Hollow, I think it's fine.
It's not a Deathly Hallow.
Oh, wasn't it? I thought it was one of the three.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're
Yeah.
right. Fake fan over here.
Yeah, apparently. The real fan
I'm
who's never
thinking,
read
I'm
the
just
books.
like, wait, the stone, the wand? No, I don't remember.
And the cloak.
Yeah. You're right. Fake fan. But yeah, no, this library has to be.
Massive.
Yeah.
But I mean, in the first book, they just don't. To me, they didn't make it out to be this massive library. I thought it was just kind of like a hole in the wall.
Which is why you gave it a 2.2.
Well, and at that
that's
point,
fair.
she wasn't permitted to go in. She had to have books brought to her.
Facts.
That's true.
This
I
is really the
suppose.
first time
This
she's
was
given the freedom.
Dorian's library, okay?
Yeah, this is the first time she's really given the freedom to roam about herself anywhere. Which honestly is still a little sus. Because she is still an assassin.
Yeah, for real.
I don't know. Maybe we could just be a little bit smarter, guys. But whatever.
Yeah, no, there were no smarts there. So massive library.
Massive library.
It's ultimately what we got in the last 5 minutes. So.
Yeah, massive library, confusing underneath tunnels. So many doors. That about covers that.
So the stone castle was built underneath, so those tunnels have to connect somehow, you'd think, right?
You'd think.
As if it's a castle under a castle.
Maybe. I don't know. If they're on opposite ends and go opposite ways.
But somehow it'd have to connect to the middle to get from one side to the other, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll get a little more tunnel clarification in the future.
You know what? Like book 1.
Secret tunnels.
Honestly, book 1 had that nice map at the front. Because, again, hard copy over here.
Heck yeah.
Has a nice map on the front of where all the countries are and all that. I refer to that so much. Mm-hmm. They need that for the tunnels.
Yeah.
Where everything connects, so where underneath it lies. I'm just saying. Opportunity missed.
I wouldn't say no to that.
I don't think we're going to have to worry about it a whole lot after this book, personally, but we'll get into that a little bit later.
Well, yeah.
So, I mean, part 1 just kind of rounds out with her and Kay all falling in love and doing adult things.
They had sex.
Having a good old time.
They had sex.
Yeah, they had a very good time.
For literally a week. For literally a week.
And then it all went to shit.
It was so cute, though. Like, after the dinner she did for him was so sweet, so thought out. I loved it. I loved the whole thing. I really did.
Well, and I gotta say, the way that we found out that they had dinner plans, it was Selena and Kale and Dorian just all sitting there chatting, and like it was a little awkward anyway because she had already been like, sorry Dorian, can't do the things, and you know, Dorian and Kale are best friends, and so it's a little weird there anyway. And Dorian just like nonchalantly asks Kale, so what are you doing for your birthday? And Selena jumps in with, well, we have plans.
He had no idea.
And Kale's like, what?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh yeah, we have plans. And Dorian's like, okay,
just the two of you together?
All right then. See ya.
Third wheel, peacing out.
After he gave him a horse.
Yeah. Ugh.
So it's like,
it came off kind of bad.
Thanks, bro. You gave me a horse, but now I've got secret plans with.
I'm gonna go get laid.
You're old.
It was so cute. But then Kale's like in this awkward position because he obviously has feelings for her, but then doesn't want to cross Dorian, like Prince or not. Like,
or
that's
his
best friend.
Loyalty.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But the dinner was so cute.
Oh my gosh,
it was,
yes.
It was adorable. She had his favorite food brought in, and oh my gosh.
He's like, how did you know?
And she just says, I pay attention.
You're not sneaky.
It was adorable. I loved it.
Yes.
I loved it. I loved the everything like they went through like that next week where they were just so happy. Mm-hmm. Just so happy, like being together. Every second that they could spare, they were together. It was so cute.
You knew it couldn't last.
We're going to have to read a love story here soon.
Sure won't.
It was so cute. No, my next book I have picked out is a real Debbie Downer
yeah,
too.
I know.
So it's fine. But I loved it. It was adorable, and I loved the imagery that was given. It was so well written. So
then he got kidnapped.
I was going to say, then it just all ended because, of course, it had to.
Which I was kind of like, really? You're that unaware that you got kidnapped?
Leaving her room.
Captain of the guard?
Leaving her room, yeah.
Like, come on.
Someone just comes up behind him and puts a rag over his nose and mouth.
I thought that was a little... I personally think that could have been done differently. Like...
So does she not have guards outside her room anymore because she's King's Champion? Or are we just abandoning all security?
No
whatsoever?
precautions. Nothing.
Right. Despite the fact that she's still an assassin who doesn't like the king?
Nope, I don't think so. I think she's just...
Which seems stupid.
Well, okay. Let's take that back a little bit because at the very, very end of book 1, when she was signing her contract with the king, he threatened her about, you know, if you step out of line at all, I'm killing Chaol, I'm killing Nehemia, and I'm killing her family. So,
but that was a one-on-one. But that was a one-on-one conversation. I would still keep some security.
Well, yeah, but
I mean,
He's not. The king's not scared of her.
No.
There's no reason for him to be.
no, but still, she could threaten anyone else. I mean, how do you know she's not gonna like flip the switch on Dorian? We saw her do it to Chaol in part 2, which we'll talk about.
Because the king doesn't care.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just straight up, right? If Dorian died tomorrow, he'd be like, "Oh, okay."
Colin.
Well, and then she kills the other son. Then what? Then he has no heir to the throne.
Then he's got his nieces and nephews, or
Duke
I'm
parents.
sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure he could have another son with no issue.
Yeah.
It seems pretty relaxed for who she is.
Yeah,
Like
I
regardless
don't
that you
disagree.
regardless of the fact that you have her under contract, it's like I would still be safe than sorry.
Well, I bet part of that is also them following Chaol's instructions too. I mean, because the guard is
True.
his to instruct. So
And he's like, I'm taking care of her tonight. Don't worry.
yeah, he's taking care of her tonight.
Or in the closet, or
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, he probably was just not making them stay posted anymore
Yeah.
at that point.
But he does get kidnapped.
Yeah.
Leaving her room in the middle of the night.
So he gets kidnapped.
And she doesn't see him at all the next day at all.
Mm-hmm.
And thinks, oh, he must just be stuck in meetings or whatever. And then goes to his room. Correct? To find the ransom note
Yes.
from...
No. Doesn't she go back to her room and find it?
no, she goes to his room.
She does go to his room? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
What did the note say? Because I don't remember.
It said something along the lines of, "Come to this dock alone. We have Chaol," and that was pretty much it, wasn't it? I mean, it wasn't like flushed out who it was or anything like that.
And boy, oh boy, did that switch flip.
For real.
Like,
she was immediately Aderlin's assassin.
The whole scene of her breaking into this warehouse to save him
Oh,
is probably one of the coolest scenes in this book.
yeah.
yes.
She's like, "So I'm on the roof, and I decided to jump in the window, jump in through the window."
Right.
And then she just massacres pretty much everybody in
Yeah.
that place.
I think this was like the start of her, like you said, becoming the assassin she is known to be and just acting on pure rage.
It was just blood mist
Yes.
through the whole place.
Yeah. There's like no thought gone into it. It was just, no, like I'm here to save him at whatever cost.
I'm not listening to reason. I'm not listening to anything.
Right.
I don't care what you have to say. I don't care who you are.
Right.
She's just mowing everybody down.
Which does show a lot about her character and what she's willing to do to protect the one she loves.
Mm-hmm.
Literally anything.
Well, and I mean that all kind of falls back into the backstory of,
Right.
her losing Sam and all that too.
Trauma.
Yeah.
Drama.
Yeah, that trauma sure does come out.
So somebody at this meeting takes a arrow to their shoulder to save Selena, and that just so happened to be Archer Flynn.
Shut up. I can't
Archer
stand
Flynn.
you.
Archer Flynn Rider.
Flynn Rider. And he essentially tells them to free Chaol and that Nehemia is in danger.
This is when everything comes out that Nehemia has been part of this movement. They've been working together to essentially a rebellion.
Yeah, a
Correct?
rebellion.
Yeah. So,
Which,
and that they've been working
yeah.
together, and that was her whole purpose of coming to the kingdom in the first place, was to help with this movement. Which, I mean, kind of makes all the pieces fall together of some weird behavior that
Yes.
she hasn't really been able to put together with Nehemia.
Well, because lately she's been kind of MIA. Like,
Right.
Selena had
Yeah,
seen
yeah,
her, like once a day as they were practicing their word marks and all of that.
And we did forget to mention that her and Nehemia had a huge fight prior to this about Selena not wanting to help the rebellion.
Actively help
Right.
the rebellion. She just wanted to lay low, do what she needed to do, and finish out her 4 years.
Yeah, all she wants is her freedom. She just wants to get out of there and not have to.
Which she hasn't had for how long? And
Right.
so, when offered, I mean, I don't think it's unjustified that she wants to look out for herself at this point. But Nehemia is trying to look at a bigger picture and hopes that everyone is free, not just herself.
She thinks Selena is selfish as fuck.
She said that verbatim.
Essentially, yeah.
In the
She's
book.
like, girl, you selfish as fuck.
That's how they ended one of the chapters.
So, this was my oh shit moment. This was like something very, 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 very bad is about to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Along with the chapter where Kale got kidnapped. I think that's where I stood up and I was like, I was screaming at Jess, you know.
Yeah, literally.
Our reactions to this had to have been so funny because I know we all had a huge burst like when this happened. Someone may have cried.
I think we all had similar reactions.
But yeah, gosh, just being like a fly on the wall to see like Skyler stand up and like pace like shit.
It was really funny.
But yeah.
I wish I could have had it on video
Yeah.
because it was just one of those moments. I was like, oh, finally, we're about to get into some real interesting stuff.
Yeah.
And then
'Cause,
you're like,
I mean-
oh no, don't go that way, not that way.
even in this book, there was a stretch where it was kind of like, all right, let's go, let's pick it up.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
like that long time where she was just kind of observing people and, you know, clients of Archer's to see where to go, and it was a lull period for sure,
Right.
for sure. So we're gonna let you talk about this next part because
I don't want to talk about it, guys. I don't want to talk about it.
So she's stopped. Archer's talking. Kale's let loose.
So Archer tells her that she's in danger. Kale knew that and didn't tell her. So she books it out of this warehouse and back to the castle.
She's flying.
And
the Archer had already sent guards to her, knowing she was in danger, and Selena beat them.
yeah. And Kale at one point talks to Dorian and is like, I was on my horse and she was still outrunning me. So, I mean, you know, we're seeing that glimpse into something that's
A little more than meets the eye.
right. Selena gets to Nehemia's room. Her guards and her have been murdered.
Slaughtered.
They say like bodies mutilated,
Yeah.
like. She said
And,
like,
she
no hope.
Well, I think like the details. She said like the bed was soaked in blood, that it looked black.
Yeah.
Well, and were they kind of bent in weird ways as
Yeah,
well?
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Devastating.
Oh, my
Devastating.
Grotesque.
my heart might have broken at this point because I really like this relationship between Nehemia and Selena and
Now your favorite character's dead.
Yeah, what are
just
you gonna
like
do?
that.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like out of the blue. Wasn't expecting it.
No cushion whatsoever.
I really didn't see that one coming.
No.
I really did not.
Well, and I mean, they've made her to be such a badass up to this point too. You know, Nehemia herself.
You're rooting for her.
Right.
Like, she is made to make you like her.
But this this makes me think of that one really, really short chapter where it's like it's saying the princess is speaking to the queen. Do we think that was Nehemia speaking to Elena?
Oh yes. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I assume so. Yeah.
Yeah,
assume
I
so.
assume so at
Because
that
no
point,
names
too.
are given in
Right.
that chapter.
Yeah.
Yeah. I assumed that was the case.
So we
Chapter is
knew
like half a page.
at that point pretty much that Nehemia was going
Something was going to happen
right,
to her.
going to die. Yeah, super, super sad. Selena loses her shit, and of course, Kale gets there right as she's grieving Nehemia, and Selena looks at him and goes, this is your fault, and proceeds to
Lunges.
almost kill him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And good guy Dorian saves the day with his raw magic, and
That we know very little about.
yeah.
Yeah, that's just slowly manifesting. That he's not even so sure what to make of it, what's going on, and has started his own little dive into information about it, but he manages to burst that out and literally freeze her hand so that she can't continue that blade down into his neck.
Yeah. And then the guards take her and she is thrown into the dungeons.
Mm-hmm.
With
Caltaine!
who
Bitch.
is in very, very bad situation. So in the first book, we know that Caltaine is addicted to opioids because of headaches. And
Regular headaches she's having.
yeah.
I wonder if that means something.
I wonder, have other people had headaches? Wow.
Skyler, do you know the answer?
I don't know. I'm not addicted to opioids. I don't hear birds.
Why does she
wings
take
flapping.
the opioids? Why does she take the opioids? Because she has headaches.
Because she has headaches. And they were constant and very, very bad.
Who else has headaches?
Who else has headaches?
You guys are making me think at 1 a.m. Who else has headaches?
I know the character. I can't remember his name though. Just say,
Roland?
yeah, the cousin.
The cousin,
Yep.
yeah. The cousin has headaches.
Yes, because he is in town and he is now on the king's court. And a detail that Selena has noticed is that the king, Parrington, and Roland are wearing these weird black rings on their fingers.
And before that, Cain had one.
And before that, Cain had one.
Who
Sus.
was dealing with magic things, too.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So, Caltaine had been having these
Yeah.
weird headaches and hearing things, and
Yeah, the whole interaction
Roland had some
between
weird
Caltaine
headaches.
and Selena down in the dungeons was so interesting. Because she says something about hearing birds, right?
Yep.
And different things like that, and started having just these weird noises and
Hearing wings.
wings. You're right. You're
Not
right.
birds, wings.
Wings. Yes. But I honestly, I kind of felt bad for her because she was given the option to either stay in the dungeon or she was going to go with Duke Parrington to this other country and be forced to marry him, which she was betrothed to him in book 1 until the sleazeball turned
Sold
his
her.
back on her. Dick.
Sold her out.
Honestly, they're made for each other. So I did feel bad for her. She's given this option, and what are you supposed to do? Stay in the dungeon? Starve to death?
Well, and we find out that Duke Parrington, yet again, is not a good man. He has been paying her visits in the dungeons.
I don't even want to think about that.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
assume it's not. So
Not.
she is not in
good.
a good place at all at this point in the book. Caltaine. Selena decides that she doesn't want to deal with it, and she knows they're putting sleeping
Sedatives.
medicine,
Sedatives.
thank you, in her drinks. So she just makes sure to
Give me
drink
more
all her
water.
Yeah, just downs it and just passes out.
Constantly.
She misses Nehemiah's funeral, for lack of a better term. And KL takes her to her room, and that's kind of it. It becomes this weird. He avoids her, she avoids him.
It's like this huge elephant in the room, and
Yeah.
because he knows how pissed she is, but he's also feeling guilty for his part he played. But then also, like, she attacked him. So, it's like this whole back and forth thing, and no one wants to talk about it. Granted, I don't think that she's ready to talk about it, which is
No.
fair. I mean, she just lost her best friend, and then now feels like the guy she thought she loved betrayed her. So who does she have?
Yeah. And, like, in reality, she knows that he didn't, but then she can't separate the emotional part of that still feels like he did.
Well, yeah.
So.
Well, and then thinking back to when even she was initially captured, Sam, who she loved, was killed, and then the people that she thought she could trust in the Assassin's Guild turned their back against her and turned her in. Like the guy that essentially raised her through her teenage years was the one that she suspects turned her in. I mean, it's a whole full circle of
So much trauma.
yeah, like not trusting anybody. Dude, heartstrings. I'm telling you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you.
It's a complex book.
Yeah, I feel like part 2 was more of revenge, and then things started to come together piecewise of what was really going on and figuring out more about the word marks and things like that. So,
Yeah, I agree. So, Selena then decides she knows who killed Nehemia because, everybody has a signature way of doing things. So she tracks down Grave, which was one of her competitors, as Jess said in the synopsis, and pulls information out of him. So
tortures him.
yeah, Grave thought he was hired by somebody in the king's court. So Selena literally takes Grave's head and drops it on this guy's plate while they're in a meeting and says, "Hey, I think your little friend sold you out." And he's like, "I don't know what you're talking about." So we get this really interesting
it was savage, man.
yeah,
like,
For real.
it was brutal.
this section where the king tells the guards to take this counselor away and blah blah blah. So then we go back down to the library.
Can
With
I just
Dorian
say, I
this
really
time.
think the king only did that, like, sent the guy from the king's court away as a formality.
Yeah,
He didn't like Nehemia.
Oh,
To
yeah.
him, that's one less person out of his way.
Yeah.
he was totally relieved.
Oh,
that she
yeah.
was
So I think
gone.
he just did that to look good in front of everyone in the room. I don't think he really gave a shit about it. Anyway, continue. I'm sorry.
We go back to the library, this time with Dorian. He follows Selena down into the secret passages. Selena has figured out how to use the word marks and opens the door that she saw this creature behind.
It was an iron door with no handles. So she had to use a spell.
Yeah. So she figured it out. She opens the door and then proceeds to go through a huge labyrinth of dungeons.
More doors.
More
Shocker.
doors. Which leads
More
to...
door.
I like it.
It's 1 a.m., bro.
Yeah.
It is. Which leads to the giant obsidian clock tower that the king has built. Which I know we didn't really talk about in the first episode, but...
He built that at the time of Dorian's birth.
Right.
It was a little bit of a landmark in book 1.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, at the end of book 1, she's having her face beat into it by
Yeah.
Kane.
We just didn't
Yeah.
know what role it played at the time.
So as she's approaching the clock tower, she's getting more and more, I guess, headache, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that tells you,
Something's connected.
right. She leaves, she runs into the Batman.
Wait.
What?
You sure you're not on opioids?
Maybe, I'm not sure.
Oh my gosh.
There-
The Batman.
The Batman. Didn't he have wings, though?
The Batman is not in this
I am
series.
Vengeance.
Batman.
He had the cape and everything.
Oh my gosh. She runs into this creature
Did he have wings?
I don't remember
that's
wings.
not quite
I don't remember wings.
You don't
humanoid,
remember wings? Okay.
but not, yeah. It's a humanoid-ish creature, but definitely something that's not from here. It's not Batman.
She couldn't write Batman because it was copyright, so she was trying to describe it the best she could.
She ran into Christian Bale.
And right behind him,
Take it.
Heath Ledger. Joaquin Phoenix.
She's not walking, she's running.
Well, I don't know. She tends to just walk around like nothing's going on. Anyway.
So this
No,
is the
to
booze
be fair-
part of A Court of Books and Booze.
To be fair, she does run in this scene.
But she was
finally is
terrified.
Oh, yeah,
Like, oh
she-
God, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
Well, who wouldn't think that? Seeing the Batman.
Batman doesn't kill people, Amanda.
He
just-
instills fear.
Yes, exactly.
So can we back this up a little bit?
Wow, chaos.
There was... No, it's Kale.
Chaos. Oh my gosh, it's so late. Okay, go.
So there was one point before she actually figured out how to use the word marks to get through that door that... Did she glance under the door
Yes.
and
yes.
saw an eye,
Mm-hmm.
2 eyes, looking back at her?
Yeah.
So she kind of was like, what the heck? And then looked under there again and didn't see anything.
Mm-hmm.
So she knew that there was something behind that door that was going on.
Yeah, this was the original time she was in the library.
Yeah. So this time she actually runs into that creature that is humanoid in stature, but definitely not human. And she's terrified. And it's after her.
So, Dorian is also down there with her. Her and Dorian end up fighting it off, sort of, and killing it. It's an incredibly well written section of the book.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to get into a lot of detail about it, but I mean, just pick up the book and read it. It's definitely worth it.
They use magic.
Right.
Yeah.
So Dorian,
He uses magic too, and then
Yes.
this is where she's just like, okay, dude, sit the fuck down and tell me everything that's going on. You have magic? I'll
Yeah.
tell you everything I know. You tell me everything you know.
That's essentially what they say when they finally get out and seal that up again is, you've got things to tell me and I've got things to tell you, so we'll do that.
Mm-hmm.
we also get a small glimpse of Selena looking at the Batman's corpse. And she has some kind of realization that they don't get into at that point in time.
I don't remember it.
It's that he had a human
He had a
heart.
human heart.
Oh, yeah.
It had a human heart.
Right.
Batman
Batman
has
has
a human heart.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Garrett
So-
was a human.
So she's like, this is not like a creature from our realm, but it has a literal human heart. So there's something weird going on here. Yeah. Something weirder than the already weird stuff going on.
From there, well, I'm trying to think of what else happens. Kale finds Selena throat singing some weird song at Nehemiah's grave.
Disrespect for your favorite character.
Gosh. It was in like a language that he had never heard of, couldn't recognize,
Right.
had no idea where it was coming from, and did sound very funeral-esque.
Yeah. And then I mean let's just get into the meat of the end of the book.
Mm-hmm.
Selena figures out a spell to be able to talk to Nehemiah against Mort's recommendation, by the way. Mort plays a huge part in this book, and I don't think we've talked about him enough.
Did you imagine the doorknob from Alice in Wonderland?
Yes,
Okay, cool.
absolutely.
Okay, cool. Because I did too.
I did not. I totally imagined like a little skull with a ring hanging out of his mouth, just like, and his little mouth just moving.
So you got more Beetlejuice. And
I definitely did.
We got
yeah.
more Alice in
Beetlejuice.
Wonderland.
Because I also imagine him like with that really
Like raspy smoker's voice.
like Scooby Doo space alien from the original.
Yeah.
With that kind of voice.
Yeah. Like the high cackle and everything.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know why. That's just what came to
Like
my mind.
flashing. Like, man, they really should have put it in there for, if you have epilepsy, this might cause symptoms. Anyway, tangent. We should talk about Scooby Doo sometime.
Oh my goodness.
So she summons Nehemia, and Nehemia shows up and essentially is like,
Why'd you do this? Don't
"You're
bring me here.
stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you do this, Jeff? Well, I just needed to talk to you." And Nehemia essentially is like, "Nope,
Yeah.
I gotta go."
Don't have time to talk.
Right.
This was the plan. Oh, look, it's your dog. You were such a good friend.
Yeah, Fleetfoot, I love you.
Yeah. And while this is going on, Dorian's in his room asleep and has a dream where, is it Elena?
Nope, it was Garrett.
It was Garrett. Garrett tells
Gavin.
Garrett tells him that Selena is essentially in danger and
He needs to
literally
get there.
gives him the map of how to get to the tomb where she is.
Yep.
So then he wakes up and he's just like, well, that was sus. Verbatim said that. And then runs down. Well, he goes and finds
Ran to get Kale.
Kale. Yeah, and the both run to her room, knowing that she's in trouble. And he knows exactly the door's there behind the tapestry because, shocker, that's what happens in this place. And, yeah. I'm telling you, I would be looking behind every single tapestry.
Right?
But, yeah, and then finds her, and
No door.
sure enough, shocker, she's in trouble.
Yep.
Yeah, well, and here's the kicker: is guess who shows up?
Right after Nehemia disappears.
Archer Flynn!
I hate you guys.
Archer shows up and admits to everything.
Mm-hmm.
This blew my mind because I
Yes.
wasn't ready for this whole
No.
section. He's like, I hired Grave. You can get anybody to believe you're anybody when you're in my line of work. Is essentially what it came down to.
Mhm.
And then the monster comes out of the portal.
So they're scuffling,
Yeah.
and she kind of like brushes against the word marks that have created this portal and skews them a little bit. So it changes. Because like the portal had been closing and it opened back up to...
And would close on its own eventually, but
Yeah.
she was not sure at that point how to do that.
It opened back up to this other realm with these monsters.
I imagine it as the Upside Down.
That's what I imagined it too, yeah.
Like the Demogorgon literally walked through that portal.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
pretty close to what I was thinking also.
And by the time Kale and Dorian get there, things are looking pretty bleak.
Well, Archer had dashed at this point, right?
No, he was like sitting in the corner, like whimpering,
huddling.
holding the book of the Book of the Dead or whatever it was.
I think it is called Book of the Dead or something. The Walking Dead.
The Walking Dead. There you go.
Yep.
I'm not sure that's right either. Is it?
I think
I
that's
thought
right.
so.
Yeah,
He was
because
holding the comic book,
I
the compendium.
yeah, we got Batman, we got The Walking Dead.
Dude, I'm not telling you.
We've got Demogorgons.
Stranger Things.
Read the book.
Scooby Doo. Dude, yeah.
Scooby Dude.
Alice in Wonderland.
Yep.
Dude, pretty sure we mentioned Lord of the Rings in there too.
Oh
Yep.
my
Like
gosh.
everything you need all in one.
Selena and Samwise Gamgee.
Oh.
So So they gotta fight this monster, yeah?
Yeah, so Kale and Dorian show up, and things are looking pretty bleak. Fleetfoot, which is Selena's dog, is hurt. So Kale jumps in, and he takes charge. And what a man.
What a man.
I just liked it how, despite everything that has gone on, like the two of them are still gonna fight for her.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, totally.
Kale's been through the ringer with this relationship, like whatever it is at this point. Because then there was also that moment where he finds her will on her desk, and then she's like, she
Yes.
leaves everything to him, and she shows up and says, I'm not going to change it because, when you lose your job over this or whatever,
Yeah.
you're going to need something to fall back on. And it's just super harsh.
Yeah.
But she's grieving, so in a way I understand, but I love that he still comes and is still like part of the rescue because he's been through some shit, let alone like how hard he is on himself naturally.
Oh, totally.
So, and he was friends with Nehemia too, so it's not like he didn't lose anybody either. Same with Dorian.
Yeah.
So,
Fleetfoot and Selena are hurt. Kale's telling Dorian and Selena to run. It gets a little jumbled in here, but Fleetfoot ends up getting taken into the portal, and Selena's freaking out. So Kale goes in after her. The dog.
you know how people are about their pets.
So doesn't Selena knock Dorian out?
She does.
Yeah.
And is like, it knocks him out, leaves him there, and then runs in the portal to go get Fleetfoot and Kale.
Yep. And as soon as she runs in the portal, the magic is back.
Like
And
Disney World.
she goes full Fae. And Kale is confused and scared, and yet again, this is just a really cool scene. I think that, once you get into this book and you're reading this, it's like, wow, this is well written, well explained. Selena is a badass. I mean, and when she uses her magic, she's got to be close to unstoppable.
Sometimes I forget who knows what.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, Selena and Nehemia had this pact that they weren't going to keep secrets. But obviously Nehemia did because she was part of this movement.
Yeah.
Selena wasn't, she didn't, doesn't talk much about her past, like before she became an assassin. But then Nehemia dies, and then she has that moment with Dorian where she finds out he has magic, so then they have this interaction, but she doesn't tell him everything that she knows about Nehemia.
Yeah.
But then Kale literally knows nothing.
Yeah.
So sometimes I was just like, wait a second, he doesn't know that.
Yeah.
That's why he's freaking out right now.
Yes.
So I like at this point, like everything's coming out, and he's getting all this at once. Like, holy shit, you're
Yeah.
Fae. Like,
Yeah.
look at you right now. So
So Selena obviously wins the fight by pretty much destroying or creating a crater around the
Yeah.
portal and gets out. And then they find a way to seal the portal. And
She
Then
goes
we
back
do-
normal.
then we deal with Archer.
ooh, yeah, my favorite scene in this book, where she follows Archer back down in the sewers because he's trying to get away, and he essentially starts begging for his life, and she's ready to let him go, and I can't remember exactly what he said to you.
No. Some smart ass comment.
It was a really condescending thing he said, and
So look it up. I want to know.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's the last thing he said.
and I mean, she turns around and just offs him right there.
Yeah.
Best scene in the whole book because, I mean, he set up Nehemia to die. He set up he set up the whole thing. It's kind of crazy to even really think about.
Just sneaky. Like, honestly, if he hadn't admitted everything, I never would have suspected him.
Right.
Honestly.
And I still can't figure out why he admitted to it in that exact moment.
Yeah.
So essentially, she's ready to let him leave, whether she actually was going to or not. That's what I wonder.
I wonder that too. Yeah.
I don't think she was actually going to let him. But he's saying, thank you. This is great. Thank you so much. And she's walking away, paying attention to him, and he says, I knew you were a good woman. And she just stops and turns around, and she's like, no, I'm not. And then kills him.
Yeah.
And then she says, but Nehemia was.
Cue the tears.
Yeah. Sobbing.
And I mean, so that leads us into the end of the book. Kaol convinces his dad to convince the king to send her to Wendelin. We get the
To kill the king there.
to
Yeah,
kill,
Which is a huge task.
right.
Whole royal family.
Yeah, insane.
And then we get Kaol figuring out that Selena is the princess of Terrasan.
Gosh, that exit was just so upsetting too. I was just like,
They just kept staring at each other
I-
as the boat drifted away
I hated it.
until it was nothing but a speck on the horizon.
I'm not I'm not ready to let the characters go. I don't think that we will though, because there's so much to learn about Dorian and now his newfound magic. So I think there's still gonna be parts, but I'm wondering how they're gonna split that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm real curious. We can't be done with, we're not done with Rifthold.
No, can't be. But so Selena's had the secret the entire time that she's the lost princess.
Right?
And up until now, no one has known that. I wonder if Nehemia suspected it.
Oh, Nehemia had to have known.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Elena and Garrett.
Well, because I
And
think that's why
Garrett knew.
Nehemia was pushing her so much
Right.
to be so active in the movement. It's like she's like, you're the
Yes.
key,
Yeah, exactly.
which she is literally the key.
Well, and it really could go either way, but I don't wonder if the king suspects. Because at one point in book 1, at the very beginning, when he's talking to Dorian, he says something along the lines of, I wish I knew the exact phrasing, but something along the line of like witch's blood. Something like that.
Yeah.
And so I don't wonder if he suspects something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe not exact, but something along
Yeah.
the lines. So.
Well, on top of learning like this piece of information, we also find out throughout the book that there are 3 word marks that you need to open up a portal.
Mhm.
Word keys.
Word keys.
Word keys. The king for sure has one. We learned that. Hence why he was able to conquer the country so quickly
Yes.
and so efficiently. And I think Mort said that he found it when he was in his 20s.
Yeah.
And then Selena suspects that he also has the second one.
Mhm.
So now, on top of going to Wendelin and trying to figure out how she's going to fake this family's death, she also is trying to find the third one so he doesn't have this insane amount of power that he already does.
Yep.
Well, and that's the other thing is, we know he has these word keys, and I believe we figure out that he created the creature in the basement, right? Him and Duke Parrington. I don't remember exactly how.
They were
but-
essentially behind
Yeah.
opening that portal and
Right.
giving Cain that access.
And then we figure out that he is building an army of otherworldly creatures.
Yes.
Well, and
Yeah.
so when Selena finds Batman in the tunnels, and we find that I shouldn't say it has a human heart.
It
I
might
don't-
be Batwoman.
Right, exactly. And I don't think they ever say this to confirm, but are we assuming, because, Roland and Caltaine have these headaches and come from a specific bloodline, that Caltaine even said herself she felt like she was brought to Rifthold for a specific reason. Are we assuming that the king is using them as experiments to be part of his army and turning them into Batman?
No, I don't
think
personally
so.
think so. I think there's
So where are the human hearts coming from?
well, I'm
Where'd Selena get all her body parts from?
What do you mean?
I mean, when she was taken. Like, she went to sick houses. There's obviously places you can get body
but they were
parts.
already dead.
Well, yeah,
But like the
those.
human heart was in his body.
Yeah. No, I was just saying I'm sure they can find a human heart from somebody somewhere.
But it's a person, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. So I'm saying like, but it wasn't like, didn't look like a person.
It was humanoid. I mean,
I think it's a hybrid. Like, I don't think.
I personally think he took a slave or whatever and brought it there and used the magic of the word key to change the anatomy of this person.
Mm.
And I think that's what you're getting at too, right?
You're right. With like Roland and Caltaine being brought because they were from.
But I don't think Roland and Caltaine have anything to do with it. I think
You don't think the fact
I
that
think they explain with Caltaine that they're testing the powers of kind of like using the word keys as for mind control and just seeing how far they can push it. Don't they explain that at some point in the book? Do you guys remember that
I
at all?
don't remember that.
Vaguely.
But I don't know the goal with Roland,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't figure it out.
Oh, because he's way up there in the court now. So
And it's one of those where I don't know where he stands either. I really don't know.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's like he was introduced and not made out to be a great guy. But then he seems to be cool with Dorian after a while, but is that fake? Like, we just really
Right.
don't know where he stands.
So let's kind of move on, and we went a little longer on this one than we did the first episode.
there's so much more to talk
There
about.
is a lot.
That's only book 2.
I know.
Yep.
And the books just get bigger and bigger. What are your guys' theories for book 3?
I bet she's gonna find a slew of hidden magic.
Maybe she's
in
going back.
Wendland.
She's going back to like Land of the Fae.
Yes.
Like
that is one
that's
of
where she's sent. And granted, Kael didn't know that she was a lost princess before sending her there. And now she's going right back to
Yes.
her roots. So, yeah, pretty close.
Yeah. Yep.
So
Well, and Wendland has been holding off on the king's like takeover advances for so long now, too. So there's got to be something behind the scenes big brewing there, and I am excited to see what that's all about.
I'm excited to see where Dorian's story goes because Nehemia was the one that knew he had the magic
Yeah.
without, really saying like, "Hey, I know you have magic," but then offered to help him whenever he was ready. Well, that's not going to happen now, obviously.
Right.
So he really doesn't have anyone to lean on for answers. So, and he can't tell his dad. Obviously, he's going to literally kill him.
I wonder if he will be visited more by Gavin or
Maybe.
Elena at all or anything like that.
I don't know. There's a lot of ways this could go because now they're like completely separate.
Yep. Well, yeah, and
it's
all three of them.
Yeah.
Because Kael will be going back to
Yeah.
Anyhow.
Aniel.
Yeah. So I'll be curious to see how the book is separated moving forward, considering they're all in different settings.
Mm-hmm.
But these are not like book 1. Like you said, book 1, there was a solid plot point. You kind of knew what was going on. Book 2, we were all over the place.
Yeah, this one really opened the can of worms
Yeah.
too.
Like I
To
said, I have
the-
a million more questions about things.
The more
Yeah.
political climate of the world and all of that. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be interesting to see where book 3 leads us. But I'm super excited that I can finally start it.
No joke.
Can't wait to read it all tomorrow.
Do we book ratings? What are you thinking?
Yeah. What are you thinking, Amanda? You want to start?
No. You
No?
start.
You can start this time, Sky. Because last time you gave book 1 a 2.2.
At 2.2, and I mean
Out
I'll
of
stick by
5.
it.
I stand by it.
Yeah.
I do. I like this book a lot. It was well written. It did have its moments where it was a little slow. I'm gonna jump this one up to A 3.75. I enjoyed it that much.
It's a big jump.
That is a big jump. And don't get me wrong, like I said, I did enjoy Throne of Glass. It was a
slow.
little slow for me.
Yeah.
And this one just picked up and
Especially compared to this one.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Jess?
I think I'm going to go with a 4.1 because I did enjoy this. There was a lot more going on. Everything was a lot more fleshed out than book 1, and I know I'm doing my rating like comparatively and also like proactively thinking about the rest of the series and how much it can improve. So, I'm going to go with 4.1. It's improved, but there's more room for improvement too. Super excited to see where it goes.
I'm going to go 3.9. I liked it more than the first one. Like I said, a lot more detail. I like, as much as I love the romance stuff, I really liked part 2 where it was tying all these weird occurrences together. Still have a lot of questions. So, like you
Yes.
said, I expect series like this, especially when they're this long, to gradually get better. So, I'm going to say 3.9.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Highly
Awesome.
recommend.
Well, everybody, that is our recap of Crown of Midnight and kind of our thoughts on it. Thank you for listening to A Court of Books and Booze. Yet again, I'm sitting here drinking Yingling. I think the girls are still drinking their amaretto sours. So,
I believe next episode will be
ooh, that's a good question.
will next episode be Heir of Fire?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Book 3.
All right.
Thanks for catching me on that. So, we are starting book 3 of the Throne of Glass series, Heir of Fire.
By Sarah J. Maas.
Sarah J. Maas, yes. Pick it up, read it.
Read along with us.
Yeah.
Because none of us have started this one yet, as of right now.
Well, I mean, by the time these all come out, we will probably be
The
Through the
series
series.
done.
way past the series, but we will be glad to have conversations with anybody. I'm still working on social media setup. That should be up way before these episodes are released. So, and if you feel like supporting our podcast or any of the other family Golden Mojo, however they say it, Golden Mojo Entertainment network of podcasts, go check them out. You can catch the Call Guys, the United States of Paranormal, Murd Nerds, Indiana Chiefs fans, and Golden Image podcast on any of your favorite streaming services. So go check them out. They deserve it.
Crushed it.
Crushed it.
Read with you next time.
Bye-bye.